Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Cuz You Don't Know Football. We are through week one of the NFL playoffs, also known as the wild card round weekend. Damn it, I messed it all up. I just need to just quit this whole thing. That's what some of y'all be saying in the comments. Y'all be so mean in the comments, boy. I tell you. Now I love my community, so that's just what it is. But we are fresh off of the game. This is right after the Houston Texans Pittsburgh Steelers game. So we're gonna go through these games. We're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into the divisional round. And we just gonna do that like that. All right. So we're gonna start with the game that just happened. So to conclude the wild card round weekend, the Houston Texans went into Pittsburgh and beat the Pittsburgh Steelers 30-6. Now, with some context, it really wasn't a 30-6 kind of game. It was 7-6 for a long time, and the Texans kind of blew it open. So that's kind of what happened there. But we will go through some of these stats and things. So for the Pittsburgh Steelers, because we always do the losing team first, Aaron Rodgers was 17 of 33 for 146 yards, no touchdowns, but he did have a pick, and he was sacked about 4 times. Yeah, he was under duress, boy. They really didn't have much rushing. Jalen Warren had 12 carries for 43 yards. There were no rushing touchdowns. And receiving, DK Metcalf led them 2 receptions for 42 yards. Um, yeah, it really wasn't a good game for them, I'm gonna be honest with you. CJ Stroud. He was 21 of 32 for 250 yards. He had 1 touchdown and 1 pick, and he was sacked 3 times. Uh, Woody Marks had 19 carries for 112 yards and a touchdown. Shout out to him. Christian Kirk had 8 receptions for 144 yards and a touchdown. And Nico Collins had 3 receptions for 21 yards. So, first of all, Pittsburgh, not gonna lie to you, this has been a weird year for y'all. You got in the playoffs. I didn't understand this whole year how this was going to work out. Um, Even going back to when you traded Kenny Pickett, I looked at your team with Kenny Pickett. I said, "Oh, they got a lot of weapons with now DK Metcalf coming in. They got uh, excuse me, George Pickens. I don't know why I called him Kenny Pickett. So George Pickens, when you traded George Pickens to the Dallas Cowboys, um, I didn't understand that move and where y'all were going to go with that, but I knew that y'all had a very good running game, and I knew your defense was solid. And that's exactly what y'all rode through this whole year. Surprisingly enough, you guys did make the playoffs. With a really exciting game against Baltimore. So coming in, that pretty much was the end of the season because you didn't really do too much great this game. But shout out to the Pittsburgh Steelers for this year. This may be Aaron Rodgers' final game. It might be his final game in his NFL career. So it was great seeing an NFL great play. And we'll see what happens. They're gonna have a lot of questions. If Aaron Rodgers is actually gonna retire, if Mike Tomlin is gonna remain the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, like there's some questions about where they're gonna be next year. So we'll keep an eye out for that. Now for the Houston Texans, let me start off with this question. Was CJ Stroud smoking that stuff before the game? Like, was he sniffing something? What was going on with him? He tried to like give the game away. I know he only threw 1 pick, but he had 2 fumbles too, and they were all on bad decisions. And he was throwing the ball, and like he was going to get one of his wide receivers sent to the hospital. And Nico Collins actually went out with a concussion. Now, it may not have been from a pass from him, but it looked like that was what was going to happen anyway. So you got to keep an eye on Nico Collins for next week because if he's not going to be able to play or anything, that changes a lot for how we feel about Houston. But this Houston Texans defense, I mean, come on. What else do you expect from them? Like, I know that Pittsburgh had 6 points, but they really only gave up 3. Because the other one was because CJ Stroud once again threw that interception in the red zone and they got 3 points out of that. No touchdowns given. This defense is really, really, really nasty. I'm telling y'all, keep an eye on these Houston Texans. You got, can you go back, please? Jeez. Okay. Okay, cool. So let's go over to the first game of the NFL playoffs, which was the Los Angeles Rams going into Carolina and playing the Carolina Panthers. Now the Rams won 34-31, which in a very exciting game, by the way. Let me just say that. So doing the losing team first. Bryce Young, sorry. Bryce Young was 21 of 40, 264 yards, one touchdown, one pick. He was sacked two times as well. Chuba Hubbard had 13 carries for 46 yards and two rushing touchdowns. And Bryce Young had 24 yards rushing and a rushing touchdown too. He looked real agile doing that. Um, Jalen Coker, he showed up. Nine receptions for 134 yards and a touchdown. And Tarawa McMullen, he had five receptions for 81 yards. And I think that was it for receiving touchdowns. Yeah. Now we get to the Rams. Matthew Stafford, he was 24 of 42 for 304 yards, three touchdowns, and a pick. And he got sacked one time too. Kyron Williams led him with 13 carries for 57 yards. And Puka Nacua actually had a rushing touchdown in this game. So shout out to him. Puka Nacua also had 10 receptions for 111 yards and a touchdown. And Devontae Adams had five receptions for 72 yards. No touchdowns for him, but um, Colby Parkinson had a receiving touchdown, and so did Kyron Williams. So let's start with the Rams. So how this game started, it looked like the Rams was going to run away with this, and then the Panthers definitely came back and made it very, very interesting. I'll talk about the Panthers in a second. Um, but a very big team win for the Rams. The responding to a game that everybody expected them to blow out the Carolina Panthers, and that was not the case. Carolina came to play. It showed a really good team win. For Matthew Stafford, I really give this game, I give him like a B minus for this game because he was definitely throwing some balls that looked like this is like more interceptions could have happened. I know he had one interception, but he probably could have had like three. So that wasn't great, but when they needed points, when it looked like this might be getting out of control, getting out of their hands, when they needed to respond, when they needed the last drive to seal the game and take the lead, Matthew Stafford delivered, man, and you can't really take that away from him. He definitely delivered, and shout out to the Rams. They're advancing on to the next round. So for the Panthers, um, what does this mean for the Carolina Panthers? What this game means for the Carolina Panthers into next year, it means that their ceiling is as high as anybody's in the NFL. We can have a really big conversation about consistency with them, but their ceiling can play with anybody. They were not outmatched. They the Rams did not play bad. They just took it to them. You know what I mean? Their cornerbacks and their cornerback position, um, what's his name? Mike Jackson, Joe Horn Jr. Like they played amazing. I was shocked at how they looked. So going into next year, Bryce Young looked. He played. Shout out to Bryce Young. This is what you needed to play like, but consistently. Consistently. Don't just do this and then like the next four games be average. Like you played good. We need more. We need to see your progression next year. But going into next year, you got your quarterback, you got your running back position, you got your offensive line, you got two wide receivers, with Tedoroa McMullen and Coker. Can't think of his first name, sorry. Jalen Coker. There it is. Jalen Coker. You got your cornerback position set. You got a pretty decent defensive line. I really want to see what they do this offseason to expand on what they did in this game. But they did a lot of things right. And shout out to the Panthers on an amazing season. All right. Jumping into another really good game. The Green Bay Packers traveled into Chicago for a grudge match, round three of a rivalry. They do not like each other. Um, and it was an amazing game to watch. And one of those games I said, "Oh my goodness." Um, but the Green Bay Packers came up a little bit short. So the Green Bay Packers lost to the Chicago Bears in Chicago 31-27. Jordan Love. Jordan Love was 24 46, 323 yards and four touchdowns, and he had no picks. Played an amazing game. Josh Jacobs had 19 carries for 55 yards, but there were no rushing touchdowns. Romeo Dobbs had eight receptions for 124 yards and a touchdown. Um, Matthew Golden had his first touchdown, which was great for him. Four receptions for 84 yards and a touchdown. Jalen Reed had four receptions for 43 yards and a touchdown. And CJ Watson, CJ or Christian, sorry. Christian Watson had three receptions for 36 yards and a touchdown. Now going over to the Bears. Caleb Williams, he had 24, he was 24 48 for 361 yards. He had two touchdowns and two picks. DeAndre Swift had 13 carries for 54 yards and a touchdown. Uh, Colston Loveland, he had eight receptions. The rookie, he had eight receptions for 137 yards and a touchdown. DJ Moore had 64 yards receiving and a touchdown. Yeah, all that looked good. So let's start with the Green Bay Packers here. First of all, Jordan Love played amazing this game. Jordan Love is one of my favorite quarterbacks. But I think this is a conversation not necessarily of the Bears winning as opposed to the Packers shooting themselves in the foot. The Packers went up huge. They were up by like 18 points, you know, and they allowed the Bears to come back. And my thought process on that has a lot to do with the injuries finally caught up with them, and they couldn't just close them out like they wanted. And add that to the fact that their kicker missed three kicks. So wait, they said that he left like what, 7 points on the board or something like that, but he left a lot of points on the field. I think I think going into next year, this could be a very interesting team. Matt LaFleur called a good game. He did a great job. This defense stepped up. But one thing that always lacked this whole year for this team was always somebody who was to be feared. Is somebody who was to be feared on the Packers. They are a talented group, but after the injuries to Tucker Kraft and to Micah Parsons, uh, they just didn't have what I felt that they needed to do to make a long playoff run regardless. But I think for me, I know this is a losing game for Jordan Love, but this is a legacy defining game for Jordan Love for me. I think he played amazing. I think he showed you what you needed uh, for a quarterback, for a stable quarterback to make long playoff runs in the future. This year just wasn't the year for them. I'm sorry to say it like that. It just wasn't. Um, so for the Bears, y'all, Caleb Williams is a star. He's a star. Listen, this game, I was ready. I was ready. I was ready three times to come on here and tell you why the Bears were going to lose this. It was going to happen because of this. It was going to happen because of this. Oh, they got back. They got down by too much. Did y'all see the throw that Caleb Williams threw off like when he was falling off his back foot, and which kept the game going? If he don't complete that pass, we're not having a conversation about the Bears winning. So many things had to go right for the Bears to win, and it was a great team win. They said that Soldier Field was shaking, just shaking. I was like, this is amazing. It was a great sight to see. A very good team win. This was the game that I thought that the Bears needed to get confidence going through the playoffs. The Packers kind of had like a big brother, little brother feel towards them. And they were even saying before the game how they wanted the Bears coming into this game. I love that Caleb Williams' response after the game was, well, they got us, you know? So shout out to the Bears advancing. I, I'm very interested to see what they do next round. Okay, on to the next game. Okay, the Buffalo Bills went into Jacksonville and came out with a win. They won 27-24 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence, 18 of 30 for 207 yards, three touchdowns, and two picks. Travis Etienne had 10 carries for 67 yards. There were no rushing touchdowns. But Mr. Tootin, Tootin, I don't know. He also had 51 yards rushing. Don't worry about that part. And Parker Washington had a breakout game. He had seven receptions for 107 yards and a touchdown. Travis Etienne had 49 yards receiving and a touchdown. And Brian Thomas Jr. had 21 yards receiving with a touchdown as well. Josh Allen, he was 28 of 35 for 273 yards, one touchdown, no picks. James Cook had 15 carries for 46 yards. Josh Allen had 33 carries. Excuse me, 30. He had 11 carries for 33 yards and two rushing touchdowns. So he had three touchdowns in this game. Khalil Shakir had 12 receptions for 82 yards. Dalton Kincaid had a receiving touchdown, and that was pretty much what happened here. Okay, let me just get my seat back. Okay. Okay, so let's start with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville had a really good year, and it really felt like their culture took went in a positive direction. There's a couple teams in the NFL that culturally it always seems like they stabbed themselves in the foot, and Jacksonville has always been one of those franchises. So watching this year, uh, they went um they went 13-4 in the regular season. This was a really good year. This was probably the best year that Trevor Lawrence has had in his NFL career. So it looks like they have a lot in place going forward. Trevor Lawrence is 1-2 in playoff games, I believe. Yeah, he's 1-2 in playoff games. This defense looks good. The pass rush looks good. I mean, you win some, you lose some. In my head, I said either Josh Allen's going crazy or Buffalo was going to lose, and it took a really good game from Josh Allen to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. So shout out to them. Fantastic season. Now for Buffalo. For the Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen went crazy. This is what he had to do. He had three touchdowns on the game. He had about 300 yards between passing yards and rushing yards. Uh, and this is what you say about a guy like Josh Allen. See, like James Cook, who is supposed to be the other guy who was supposed to help carry this, didn't even have a good game. You know, The one constant in Buffalo is Josh Allen doing Josh Allen things. Um, I started this by saying Josh Allen was going to have to turn into Superman or they was going home. I'm sticking with that statement throughout these playoffs. But I will give credit to the rest of the roster. Maybe not the roster, but the game plan that slowed down the game and said, "Ben, don't break. Just don't let big plays happen and allow Josh Allen to make the plays that he needed to win this game." So, shout out to the coaching staff. Shout out to the team. There's a really good team win, and Josh Allen stepped up and carried them to a victory because that's how damn good he is. Okay. The surprise of the playoffs for me. This was a shocker to me. Um, the San Francisco 49ers go into Philadelphia and win 23-19. Jalen Hurts was 20 of 35 for 168 yards, one touchdown. He did not have a pick. Saquon Barkley had 26 carries for 106 yards, and Dallas Goedert had a rushing touchdown. It was a tush push. Devontae Smith had 8 receptions for 70 yards, and Dallas Goedert had a receiving touchdown. AJ Brown had 3 receptions for 25 yards. Brock Purdy, he was 18 and 31 for 262 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. He also got sacked one time. Christian McCaffrey had 15 carries for 48 yards. And Demarcus Robinson had 6 receptions for 111 yards and a touchdown. Christian McCaffrey had 6 receptions for 66 yards and 2 touchdowns. And yeah, so let's start with the 49ers. Let me see something real quick. So the San Francisco 49ers this whole year have dealt with nothing but injuries and have single-handedly taken away every excuse every single team has for what could limit their success. They lost every single one of their big name players for at least a month this year. Brandon Ayuk has gone out on IR. Fred Warner has gone out on IR. Nick Bosa has gone out on IR. Brock Purdy was out a month. Christian McCaffrey was out a month. In the game that to get in, Trent Williams was out that game. How are they in this situation? How are they still beating all these teams? Let me tell you something. The only other time I saw a team play this good with this many injuries was it the 2001 New England Patriots? It was the New England Patriots and they were cheating. They had Spygate. That was the whole Spygate era, and that made sense. So unless they are filming practices, this is the greatest coaching performance we've ever seen. Period. Kyle Shanahan. This is the greatest coaching performance we've ever seen because they are going in and not just competing, but beating teams that they have no business beating. This is where do they stop? Where's the limit for all of this? Now, I will say this. I was very hypercritical on Brock Purdy um, leading up to the season. Also, got to give him credit. Like, moving this, I said when he lost all of his players to free agency, to free agency, this was going to get hard, and that's why you don't pay a guy like him. He's not only lost the players to free agency, he lost the players to injuries too. And shout out to Brock Purdy. Shout out to Brock Purdy, man. San Francisco 49ers look scary, man. We got to keep figuring. I got to figure out this. This is new, and I'm just being honest. This is new for me. I need to see it. So for the Philadelphia Eagles, Philadelphia, how did y'all lose to the 49ers? You know what? This whole year, this whole year with the Eagles, I raised the question, was this like the 2023 Philadelphia Eagles that went 10-1 and lost in the first round? Or is this like the 2024 Eagles who won the Super Bowl when they first get Saquon Barkley and stuff like that? Um, well, clearly this is like the 2023 ones because they lost in the first round again. With all this talent, all that this doesn't make any sense. Kevin Pachulo, Kevin Pachulo, there might be a hit out on you for what you did all year long. This offense has looked bad all year long, and it drug down the whole roster. The camaraderie went to shit. AJ Brown don't want to be there. He's definitely not even going to be back there. I'd be shocked if he was back there. Um, I can't believe the Eagles actually lost the game. I'm gonna be honest with you. Um, but you know what this feels like? You know how like a little kid tries to tell you, or he tries to tell a grown up because a little kid is instructed, tell a grown up that there's a problem, and then the little kid tries to communicate to the grown up that something's wrong. I feel like the Philadelphia Eagles all year long were trying to tell me we're not that good. And I wasn't listening. I wasn't really digesting that they were trying to communicate we're really not that good. Um, they were my Super Bowl pick, to be honest with you. So I was wrong about that. But well, I'm very interested to see what the Eagles are gonna have to do next season. All right. And the final game. Well, it's not the final game, but like this was on our list. This is on you guys get it. The next game on the docket, the Los Angeles Chargers go into New England and lose. The New England Patriots beat the Los Angeles Chargers 16-3. Justin Herbert was 19-31, 459 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. Now he was sacked 6 times. Justin Herbert also led them in rushing with 10 carries for 57 yards. Lad McConkley led them with 32 yards rushing. They really didn't have much going on this whole game. Drake May was 17-29 for 268 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. He was also sacked 5 times. Drake May also led them in rushing for 10 carries for 66 yards. So we'll start with the New England Patriots. The New England Patriots move they move on to the next round of the playoffs. Now they were my pick for who I thought was going to lose immediately in the first round. And the reason for that was because I thought they had the worst quarterback. I thought that their best quality on their roster corresponded with the worst quality on the Chargers roster. So I said, "Oh, they're." So I'm talking about their pass rush. So I said their pass rush isn't going to be able to affect the Chargers' offensive line. Boy, was I wrong about that. So also add to that, Drake May looked more like what Justin Herbert is hyped up to be than what Justin Herbert has ever shown. Shout out to Drake May for being the better quarterback. He is showing that he is not just a top 10 quarterback, but a fringe top 5 quarterback in this league and a very dangerous playoff performer. I'm very interested to see what he's able to do next week. And these New England Patriots, man, they've been able to win a lot of different ways, like it's not the same players, it's not the same, sometimes it's running, sometimes it's passing to this guy, sometimes it's passing to this guy, sometimes it's running to another guy. Drake may let him in rushing, so they're finding different ways to win. This defense is figuring out how to contain people, very reminiscent of past Patriot teams. I'll leave it at that for right now. All right, for the Chargers. First of all, let me start. I know Justin Herbert was sacked 6 times. I know this. But Justin Herbert is making people's careers. Justin Herbert is making upcoming franchises look amazing. He's just not doing that for his own franchise when they need it the most. Every time that I've heard anybody talk about Justin Herbert, it was how he was magical, how he was amazing in a loss. And I said, well, can we see him in some playoff success? And I want to tell you guys something. In in Justin Herbert's career, in his whole career, he's 0-3 in the playoffs. Excuse me. Yes, he's 0-3 in the playoffs, and he's missed the playoffs 3 times. So out of his 6 years, he's missed the playoffs 3 times, and then in the 3 playoff games that he's played, he's lost all 3. At this point, he's made the shining moments of Trevor Lawrence's career, CJ Stroud's career, and now Drake May's career are coming off of we played Justin Herbert. Come on, y'all. Like he's got to be the reason why they overcome. For as much criticism as Josh Allen gets, as Lamar Jackson gets, as Joe Burrow gets. They all have playoff success. He does not have any playoff success. No matter what the roster, there's been teams where he's had 2 pass rushers. You know what I mean? He's been on rosters where he's had offensive lines. He's had rosters where the receiving core has been good. Come on, man! These rosters are not set up to beat him, and people keep beating him. I know I'm coming down real hard on Justin Herbert, but come on. Like, can we now quiet the noise on Justin Herbert? Because when he's amazing, we're so loud when he's amazing. And now people always get so quiet when he's not so amazing. And 3 points in a playoff game is not so amazing. Justin Herbert has not been amazing to me. So that's all I got to say about that. Oh, and the Chargers are also one of those franchises with a culture, like it's almost like a stink, a culture of when you think that they're going to do it, when you think they got it together, they just mess it up, man. They just don't get it done, you know? I don't know what to say. It's like a gray cloud or a stink. I don't know, but this is the Chargers for you when I don't know what to say about them. This is not a great day for them. Okay. So that was the wild card round. That was the wild card round. We talked about we incorporated like who got exposed, legacies, who got damaged, whose legacies started to get made. It was great. It was great. So so now we're just gonna go in order of next week's games, the divisional round games. We're leaving the wild card. A very exciting wild card round in the past, and we're moving on to the divisional round. And let's break down some situations. So off the bat, 4:30 Saturday, Buffalo goes into Denver. Now, this is a very interesting game. This is a very interesting game. Um, Now the matchup that I am looking at the most, well, there's two different matchups that I'm looking at the most with Buffalo and Denver. How is Denver's pass rush and secondary going to make Josh Allen uncomfortable? Because we already know if Josh Allen doesn't turn into Superman, they're probably going to lose this game. So, how is Denver's pass rush and secondary going to contain and make Josh Allen feel uncomfortable? And Bo Nix, are you going to step up, or are you going to be the guy who's shown up in the fourth quarters, or are you going to be the guy who, for the first three quarters, for a lot of time, and the heavy criticism against you is that you play bad then, and then pull it together. You're gonna have to be consistent here, you know? You're gonna have to be consistent here. Um, Now I will say this: if Josh Allen pulls off this game, this is a legacy game for him if he can pull this off because he's going against a roster that is superior to his. You know, um, this is like for the if you took him off of his team, this is not a good matchup. The Broncos against the Buffalo Bills. But with Josh Allen, they got to punch his chance, you know? So if he's able to win this game, this is a very big legacy game for him. Um, but I think that if you put together what Bo Nix can do, if he plays a B game, a B plus game, I think it's going to be hard for the Buffalo Bills to beat the Denver Broncos. You know? So I think that's the pick that I'm going to go with. I'm picking Denver to advance and eliminate the Buffalo Bills, but I really am excited about this game. Okay. Okay. So the next game, 8 o'clock Saturday. San Francisco 49ers are traveling to Seattle. Now, this is a rivalry game. Um, they don't like each other. San Francisco wants to go see Seattle. They're the whole reason they're not the number one seed in the playoffs this year. And I think this could get a little nasty. This game could get a little nasty, definitely. So, the matchups that I want to see with all these injuries, how are the 49ers going to limit Sam Darnold? That's what I want to see. Because if they can control Sam Darnold and turn him into a guy who turns the ball over, oh, they got a chance to go in there and win this game. Absolutely. Absolutely. And for the 49ers, I just want to see it again. Like is this is like are the 49ers really this team that through all these injuries can still just beat you? Like what's going on here? Like I still can't believe this. They're phenomenal. They're phenomenal. Um but like let's see what happens with a team that knows them, that knows what they want to do, that knows their tendencies and what are they going to do to bounce back? Like how does the 49ers counteract a team that knows what they're trying to do? Okay? Now, legacy. Let's talk legacy. Sam Darnold. If you win this game, you start to silence your doubters. You start to answer some questions about you. Like let's get it done. Let's get it done. So for that reason, I'm picking the Seattle Seahawks to win this game. Okay? I I'm very excited to see this game. I don't see If you took this year out of the equation, I don't see where San Francisco really can beat Seattle. I have to take the context of what happened this year and what I've seen into it, and that's why it's making it even harder. Y'all can see that I'm stumbling over my words a little bit to figure out, do I really feel great about this? But yes, I like Seattle's defense. I like them to control this game. I like their running style to start to take hold of um what they want to do as opposed to what the 49ers wants to do. I'm picking Seattle to win this game. Okay. So the Houston Texans are going into New England to play the New England Patriots. Now let's talk about matchups. So for the Patriots, it's the same kind of thing. The weakness of the Houston Texans is their offensive line. New England did a great job last week of taking it to the Chargers offensive line. And I'm very interested to see if they can exploit the Texans offensive line like they did the Chargers offensive line. But this Texans defense, uh, what are they going to do with Drake May? Like what are they going to take away? How are they going to address this? And CJ Stroud, you owe your team one. Like you could have lost that game and it would have been all your fault last week. You need to play well for your team coming into this week. No question. You owe them one. Now, when we talk about legacies, we're talking about two young quarterbacks. We're two young quarterbacks, yeah, that are making a way, yeah, I mean, for themselves. One of these two guys are going to be in the AFC Championship game, which is going to be a great year for either one. So legacies can be made here. Coaches, D'Amico Ryans was a risky hire, you know. So was Mike Vrabel for New England. It's worked out, and they both look really good up to this point. So I just want to see this game and how it's going to play out. With that said, I looked at the Houston Texans have a pretty poor offensive performance, and that was more dynamic. And that's something that's going to come up in film room all week. That's something they're going to feel ready to put to display to the world how that really isn't who they are. So I'm picking the Houston Texans and that defense uh, to go into New England and beat the New England Patriots and get to the AFC Championship game. Okay. In the final game of the divisional round, Sunday at 6:30, it's going to be Rams versus Bears. Sneaky game, sneaky game. The Rams are going to go into Soldier Field. The fans at Soldier Field are going to be ready for this game. In terms of matchups, I want to see how the Rams respond to that environment. I want to see how the Rams, being a team from LA in the warm, playing in Chicago in the cold, what that looks like for them and how they respond to that. And I want to see a West Coast team coming over to the East Coast. Now they did them a huge favor by putting them later in the day. Let me just say that. Um, but I want to see where they go with this in this environment. Um, Matchup for the Bears. I want to see what Caleb Williams got. Like, is it like Caleb Williams? You have been magic. The second half of this year, the wild card round, you've been magic, bro. Beating the Panthers. I mean Panthers. Beating the Packers. Your division rival. You've been magic. What magic you got up your sleeve this week for the Rams? Because it's going to take a magical performance for you to beat the Rams. So Matthew Stafford going for a second Super Bowl, potentially a Super Bowl MVP. Caleb Williams, superstar quarterback. Yeah, I'm saying it right now. Superstar quarterback. trying to get to his first NFC Championship game. But in my heart of hearts, I really do feel that the Rams are going to go into Chicago and take the win. I think the Rams have too many advantages and too many matchups in their favor to lose this game. And I also feel as though the Rams have the weaknesses of the Rams aren't really looking like they're going to be exploited by by the Bears. So I'm really looking forward to watching this game, but I'm taking the Rams in this game as well. All right, y'all. Well, that's gonna wrap things up. Thank y'all again, man. I love our time together, man. I love what's going on in the playoffs. My goodness. Um, but yeah, with that said, you can catch the full episodes on Spotify and YouTube. Catch the reels on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. We all over the place. And y'all, I just gotta tell you a secret, because I know y'all know so much, but unfortunately, I still gotta tell you, because you don't know football. I'm your boy Reek. Like Martin said, I'm gonna see you when I see you. Peace.